The one thing many new freelancers want to know is which publications are more likely to publish their work. Now, this is a reasonable question because you want to know the most efficient and quickest way into your new career. So I'm going to answer this question in two parts. Firstly, as Australia has the largest number of magazines per capita in the world, it is impossible for me or anybody to know specifically which publications are more likely to take on new freelancers. Also, in this current global financial crisis, many publications have changed their status quo. Some publications have reduced their freelance budget while others haven't changed it at all. But generally speaking, you can expect the larger major metropolitan newspapers to actually have reasonable freelance budgets. You can also expect the same from mainstream magazines, which have quite large circulations and small newsrooms, so in other words, small staff numbers. Now, on the flip side to this though, you also have a lot more freelancers to compete against because they're also thinking of the major metropolitan newspapers and the major mainstream magazines. So it actually can be a little bit harder to break into those publications. Now, looking at niche or trade or industry publications, some of them will actually have reasonable freelance budgets. Some don't, but some do. And the benefit to pitching your stories to these magazines is that a lot of freelancers forget about them while they're chasing the big guns, so to speak. So these niche or trade or industry or smaller publications can actually be great ones to break into. Frankly, the only way to know which editors and which publications are likely to take on new freelancers is to simply contact them. Now, the second part of my answer is that asking which publications are more likely to publish you is not actually the right question. At the end of the day, an editor's decision on whether or not to publish your work is not based on who you are, but based on the story itself. So, for example, if your story lands on an editor's desk today along with another freelancer's story, the editor will make a decision on those two stories based on how good the story is, how interesting, how intriguing, how fresh and how relevant it is to that editor's readership. If your story stands out as being the better story, there's no reason why that editor would not give you a call to talk about it. So, in summarising, yes, it can be soul-destroying when editors are not calling you back. But the key is to remember to be persistent, keep calling them, and secondly, make sure you have a great story. Make sure your story is interesting and intriguing and fresh enough that it will grab the reader's attention. If you can do this, you greatly increase your chances of a publication commissioning your work.